In this video, I would like to teach you rules for changing active voice to passive voice. These rules will work only for the assertive sentence. Assertive sentence, or we can also call declarative sentence, are sentence that declare something, which is called declarative, or we can also call the assertive sentence. It may be affirmative or negative. So let's discuss that. We have 7 rules. The first rule is that if you want to change active voice to passive voice, identify the subject, verb and object of the sentence, The first rule is that if you want to convert the statement from active to passive voice, first we should identify the subject of the sentence, then verb, and then object. Simply we call that we should have SVO, so then it can change very easy. The second rule is change the verb into past participle form. Change the verb into past participle form of the verb. Past participle form of the verb. It's simply called that if we have verb and active voice, so we should convert, or we should change that verb into past participle, means third form of verb. And the third rule is that change the subject into object. What is the third rule? The third rule is change the subject into object. And the fourth rule is called add by preposition. Add by preposition. Add by preposition. The fifth rule is that we have to change object into the subject. Object, change object into subject. And the sixth rule is know the object pronoun. Know the object pronoun. The object pronoun. And rule number 7 is choose auxiliary verbs according to the tense. Choose be, or to do auxiliary according to the tense. Choose auxiliary verbs, auxiliary verbs according to the tense. According to the tense. So now we have 7 rules when you want to change active voice to passive voice. So first of all, we should identify the subject of the sentence, verb of the sentence, and object of the sentence. And the second is change the verb into past participle. As we know that past participle is also called third form of verb. The fourth rule is change the subject into object. It simply means that replace the subject with object, or object with a subject. And the fourth rule is add by prepositions, but sometimes it is not required. But 90% we need to add by prepositions. Next one is that change object and to subject. These two statements have the same meaning, that replace the subject with object or object with the subject. The next one is know the object pronoun. Sometimes we need to know about object pronoun as well. And the next one is choose auxiliary verbs according to the tense. If the tense belong to present, simple present tense, we have to add auxiliary according to the simple present tense or according to present continuous tense. Now I am going to give you one of the example which explain these all rules. Now let's give you one of the example to know how we change active to passive voice. So now the example is that is an active voice. I say that a thirsty boy adds an apple. That is called apple. Now first we should apply the first rules. The first rule changing active to passive voice is that identify the subject of the sentence, verb and object. So let's talk which one is the subject. In this case we have a long subject. This one is called subject. This one is called a subject. Sometimes the student deceive, because if you think that it has three words, a, thirsty and boy, sometimes the student choose only a, but it is actually not a subject. A subject in this case is a thirsty boy. So we can write here that is called S. That is called S. The second one is this one is called verb. So we can simply write here that is called verb. Now the third one is called object. That is called object of the sentence. That is called object of the sentence. So now we apply the first rules and the sentence follow the first rule is that SVO. So now it simply means that it is changeable from active to passive voice. Now we should apply the second rules. The second rule is that subject will go to the place of object and object will come to the place of subject. So now this one is the object. So now I am going to bring it from the place of object and to the subject. Look at here. So I say that N, that should be capital. An apple. Now this one I brought. That was the object which I bring to the place of the subject. And a thirsty boy is the word. It is a subject, so it will go to the place of object. So I will write here there is a thirsty boy. So it will come here. That is changed. So it also apply the second rules. The second rule is done. The second rule is done. Now let's talk about that verb. So verb is what? Eat is the first form. What will be the past participle form of this verb? So that is called eaten. So we have to write here eaten. E-A-T-E-N, eaten. Eat is the first form, ate is the second form, and eaten is the third form. Now which tense is this? First we should identify. And if we identify the tense, according to the tense we should choose the auxiliary. So it is a simple present tense, and a simple present tense we use as MR auxiliary. So if we talk about we have a singular subject, so after a singular subject we place is, and is what? It is called be or auxiliary verb. And so now this was the first rule. The second rule we also followed. The third rule also we followed. And now the fifth rule that we need to add only a by, and a by I have to add here, that is called by. So now it convert from active to passive voice. Look at, I say a thirsty boy eats an apple. So I say an apple is eaten by a thirsty boy. So the first one we apply the first rule that follow here SVO. Then the subject replaced with object. Then we change first form verb to third form of verb, or we can also call past participle. And also we add auxiliary according to the tense. Now let's give one more example. The next example is, I say that Umar teaches English. teaches English. Umar teaches English. So if we talk about the rules, so this one is called subject, the first rule. This one is called verb, and this one is called object. Now change the place of the subject and object. So English will come to the beginning of the sentence. So I will say English. I will say in this case English. Then which tense is this? Simple present tense, singular sentence. So English is singular. We need to add is. English is. Then what is the third form? What is the first participle form of teach? That is called taught. So we have to add taught. T-A-U-G-H-T, taught. Then we have to add the preposition that is known as by. And by whom? So Umar. We can just write it. That's called Umar. That is called Umar. So this was changed. According to auxiliary, this is man verb, this is by, and this is known as object. So in this video, I have just discussed that how we can convert active to passive voice. So I have just discussed 7 rules, and I have given just 2 examples. The examples are that a thirsty boy eats an apple. Then we say an apple is eaten by a thirsty boy. And the second is Umar teaches English. English is taught by Umar. So that was the end of this video, and next video we will discuss that what is active and what is passive voice, and what are the usage of active and passive voice.